Do you believe in that sort of, cliche saying that it's no longer your film once it's out there? It's now it belongs to the audience. Yeah, I know that's such a cliche.
I don't know. I've never really thought of it that way. I mean, you can, I guess, but it should. To me, it's kind of like a shared experience. Denzel Washington talked about this years ago. Making a film is like baking a cake or a pie or something. He said, you're going to bake it, you're going to put all these ingredients in, you're going to bake it, and then you're going to serve it to people. And some people are going to go, wow, this is the best cake I've ever tasted. And other people go, wasn't that good? But all you can do is bake the cake.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, I just rewatched Million Dollar Baby, and I just felt that like Hilary Swank was made for that role.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't imagine any other actor in that role.
Right.
And I had forgotten about how emotional it was, and we interviewed someone and they were talking about it. I was like, you know what, I want to see it. And then you go online, you go under the trailer, and you see just the divided nature. I mean, how could someone not like, especially her character?
Right.
It's so excellent, but
subjective. Subjective to the interpretation of the individual. Hey, you know what? If there's another movie I saw years ago. The follow-up from the director of Drive.
Oh, Nicholas Winding Refn.
Yeah, he did one called Only God Forgives with Ryan Gosling.
Right, I can see
and that was panned across the board. And I find that movie so fulfilling. Now, there's probably going to be people that listen. It's like, wow, that was a terrible film. But it was saying things that are very difficult and very ugly about this particular world that he brought us into. And the critics didn't like it. There are some esoteric things, I would agree, concede that it's not a typical American movie, the way it's paced, the way it's edited, the dialogue is very sparse, but there's a feeling and an undertow to the whole thing. But you go online and you look at Amazon, you would have thought this is the worst movie ever made, ever, by some people's opinions. It doesn't necessarily mean that the opposite is true, but it's just subjective to that person's, their world and what they're wanting to see. They like Drive for a number of reasons.
Sure.
This one was totally the opposite. It was even darker. It was a darker world, an underbelly of like prostitution and smuggling and drugs and murder and just a criminal underground world in Thailand. And it's scary because it's presented in a very realistic way. There's violence, there's gore, there's nobody really there that you relate to. And that, I think, was the underlying issue at that film, is that there's really nobody there to root for. Because Ryan Gosling is a victim of his mother, and his mother runs the whole show. That arguably is one of the best performances of a female that I've ever seen. Just for acting purposes, in terms of daring. And Kristen Scott Thomas?
Oh, I love her, yeah.
Yeah. That's somebody that you would never expect in that role, and she just blew me away with the audacity of that character.
Just see that, because she was in Life as a House, and here she's this very together, composed,
Yeah, I see her. She's played, like a lot of good. And then this one, she's like a narcissistic mother who is, it's gross, but
wow.
She's amazing. That was another level of acting I'd never seen out of her. Yeah, and then people are, online just saying, I didn't like this, I don't like these people, this isn't good acting, I don't know. But again, it's subjective to the audience, and you can only make the film.
And when you make something that is going to get a polarizing reaction, and you hear that other sort of things, I just want someone to react to it. I don't really care if they love it or hate it. And I think that's important if you're okay with that. I think you can't always, I know somebody I talked to years ago that I work with, he said, oh, I hate indie film. There's never a happy ending. It's confusing. It's like, I can't stand those people. And I thought, that's why I love indie film, though. I don't want to know the end. I want to be thinking about it for weeks after,
right.
Yeah. I don't want it all neat and then there's the great 80s soundtrack and people are holding hands walking off in the sunset. So, but if you make something, and I know all the films that you and Edgar Michael Bravo have made, they touch on some very intense subjects. And I think going into that, you know that it's going to get a reaction from people.
Yeah, I think if as an artist you've gotten a reaction out of somebody, you've done your job, at minimum. If they ignore you and they don't care and just like, okay, that hurts. That to me hurts more.
Yeah, exactly.
When I see people online like writing horrible stuff about our movies, and I'm just like, wow, this really affected you.
Right.
In a way that I don't agree with it. I'll try to understand, where they're coming from, and some of them I concede. I mean, I'm not like writing back to them, but some of them I concede they have valid, issues. But some of it also is very personal, and
sure.
And so their emotions, like I've had certain people obviously go online and I mean, like of all the things you had to say about our film, you attacked it on these merits that have nothing to do with the movie, but. It's going to happen. People are people, and the internet obviously gives a lot of cover and anonymity to people who wouldn't dare come up to you and say it in person, but they can from behind their keyboard.
And there's an agenda with every comment. Whether it's their own agenda or whether it's to discredit you, whatever, there's an agenda, and if you can see it for what it is, but sometimes you don't always know what it is.
Yeah, if it provokes a response and it incites a response in you, again, you just have to realize, okay, am I going to really spend the time? Does this person want to have a conversation with me and ask me certain things? Are they wanting to tell me who I am and that they know what,
Right.
That's where you just kind of have to go, okay, that's who they are.